Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Beats with Kelly Kennedy, where we are here to bring you our naturally oriented therapists, our medically enlightened doctors and specialists here on Not Meds to educate you about how the body really works. And I am very, very fortunate that I have an amazing tribe across this globe and continue to meet even more incredible members of this amazing tribe, of which I call Not Meds. And the Beats is really about making sure that no matter what your level of understanding of the body is, from this point forward, you have a new understanding of the body and you understand that the power inside you is what heals the body. And the gentleman that we have on the episode today is somebody who is really near and dear to my heart with the information that he's giving out, because for those of you who have listened to me talk, whether it's here on the podcast or you've known me for the 20 years or so that I've been in practice, the one thing that I'm always about is minerals. You know, the body runs on minerals. We're a bioelectric computer. And when I met Barton Scott, I found a kismet understanding with him in regards to minerals. He actually has a chemical engineering background, and you're going to hear a lot about his story today, which is absolutely incredible. And we are going to be shifting how we at True Wellness and Not Meds handle hair mineral analysis, working with Barton Scott, because hair mineral analysis is something I find one of the most complex issues. And you're going to hear a lot about it today, how to interpret it, why it's such an amazing test. And I'm very excited for you to learn all about the hair mineral analysis. So thank you for joining us today. And if this resonates with you, please do go ahead and subscribe, share this with your friends, make sure that they also know how the body really works. And it's all about minerals. Have a great day. So welcome back to the Beats with Kelly Kennedy here at Not Meds Global. And I'm very excited, as I always am. When am I not excited? And the reality is, so many of you know that hair mineral analysis has been a foundation here at True Wellness for our practice for well over 17 years. I'm not a medical doctor, nor is my husband. And when we first got involved in this, we needed some way to quantify what was going on. As a scientist, I'm always looking to quantify things. And hair mineral analysis was one of the first things that I learned. And what I learned about hair mineral analysis over the last 17 years is I know very little bit. And as much as I've studied it, as many books as I have read, those that are watching, this is the most dog-eared tagged book in my office, and it's the hair mineral analysis book, because it's so complicated and it takes a certain brain to figure out the interconnections of hair mineral analysis. So here's what's funny. About a month ago, I met this amazing man named Barton Scott. And when I met him, I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "Hair mineral analysis." And we started chatting. I said, "What's your background?" He said, "Oh, I'm a chemical engineer that went through my own health journey." And he started telling me, I was like, "Stop the music. I think I found the man to solve all my problems." Because there's so much here, and learning about quality supplements and minerals. You know that I've always said, if you need one thing in your life besides moving your lymph, it's minerals. And there was Barton Scott and I. And so I'm so happy to be educating everybody about this with his assistants. And I think we're going to be working together alongside together to help educate you guys and give you access to hair mineral analysis in a much better way than I can do it. So I'm going to ask him to tell a story, but I'm so thankful that you're here with us today, Barton. Thank you so much for joining the Beats.
Oh, it was so amazing to meet you, and just thoroughly enjoyed the conversation every single time. There's such warmth. Such alignment. It's amazing. So thank you for having me on, and just really, really happy to get into it. The story for me really started when my just mental health just really went downhill. And it started, I think, as it starts for most people, where your memory really is one of the first signs that you notice is like, oh, it's not as sharp. That's one of the problematic places. And for me, I was like in my mid-20s. It's not like I was, in my mid-70s or something where I could, plausibly excuse it for some reason, perhaps. I probably won't. I know I won't, but a lot of people would if they're 70 today or so. And I looked at I looked at my first hair analysis after spending thousands and thousands on different testing. And I went, wow, I finally feel like I can act on these results. As crazy as it is, like, I'd run, whether it's thyroid panel or anything else, and I'd come back mid-range, right? And as you know, I'm sure, the thyroid level is, yeah, or that whole range for all those tests is based on a sick population. When they worked on hair mineral analysis, at least for the labs that we use, they used a healthy population, actually used Olympic athletes. And then on top of that, there's just, you're measuring so many things all at once, which is really, really, really great. So we'll get more into that later. But yeah, I started really losing my short-term memory. Long-term was great. Short-term was noticeably reduced. And to skip forward a few steps, I noticed that I was chronically deficient in nutrients I was already taking. I was supplementing and had been supplementing for quite some time, like a year and a half plus, 6 days a week, like large doses. Yeah.
Can I just interrupt for a second and clarify?
Yeah.
So you were a chemical engineer,
Yeah.
not a dumb guy. Let's just
Yeah.
say, okay. And now in your mid-20s, you're going, wow, my memory's not working great. So you run to all these practitioners and doctors, get all this blood lab work, because that's what the standard is, right? Go and get blood labs, but all your labs were coming back, you're in normal range. You'd spent thousands of dollars, and now you see a hair mineral analysis and you're going, I can take action. But wait, look at all these minerals. These are all minerals that I've been taking on supplements, right? Exactly. This is a great point for people to understand right there. That is so many people's story.
Yeah.
They're taking pills, and then they learn their guts don't work, or they've been told that their guts don't work, and leave the practitioner with pills, which is one of my drives me crazy.
I know.
I'm going to give you pills to absorb that I'm telling you, your body doesn't absorb anything, but I'm going to give you pills to absorb more. And I love that your company focuses more on liquids and capsules, so it's in powder and liquid form. So now you're at the point where you're like, okay, wait, I'm taking all these expensive supplements and herbs.
Yeah, I spent so much money. And gosh, there's so many crazy parts to it. But it just, by some crazy luck, I met this guy who's now retired, but was just a tremendous wealth of knowledge in understanding hair mineral analysis. And I just became fascinated because he seemed like he could just like read my mind by looking at my results. I remember him telling me, and he said, Barton, I bet you are not remembering your dreams. And I said, how the hell do you know that? Like, no, I'm not. I haven't dreamed in years, I guess, now that I think about it, not vividly, not that I really recall. And he said, well, your magnesium levels are very low. So this shows me that you're not reaching that deep state of sleep. And that really stuck with me. And then he did that 8 or 10 more times. And we do that for people in consultations now. And, it's really revealing, and it's something that really speaks to the efficacy of the test when you can not meet someone, but have a phone call with them or a Zoom call. And that's the consultation. And in that period, you're not even physically in front of them. So you're not able to judge, oh, they look like they're in a low energy state or anything like that. You're just talking to them. And I mean, I've gotten to the point where, and granted, I don't do consultations very much anymore. The team, of nutritionists handles that for the company now, so we can help a lot more people. But I got to a point where I could hear, I started to correlate the person's voice with what they were deficient in, and like, oh, they definitely have adrenal fatigue, or they definitely have, just low energy for this or this reason. I'm pretty sure of it. And sure enough, they would be low in potassium. They would be low in magnesium. They'd be low in just different minerals that affect blood sugar. but yeah, my story went from there. Well, okay, so I'm a chemical engineer. My lens is absorption. We had a focus in nanotechnology while I was there as well, and it's a very hands-on curriculum where you're actually building control towers and loops, designing, programming in your class time, and then having internships where you're actually doing it in the plants for big companies like Shell, and you're working on different operations where it's distillation or et cetera, but you're taking a process and you're improving it, and you're understanding moment by moment what it takes to really operate different procedures, different methods. And so I knew that although I was having these difficulties mentally, I was like, I could get over time. It's just a matter of finding the right company that's doing something that I can improve on and that will help me co-develop it. And I'll do a friends and family round. We'll raise some money. We'll sign a contract, and it took years to figure that business aspect of it out. But the science part of it, I figured out in 2016. And I realized a big part of it was particle size. So like you talked about, Kelly, absorption is such a huge deal, right? Right. So
Mhm.
it's massive. So the particle size of most minerals are way larger than your blood cell, 5 to 8 times on average. So that's fine if your gut is working really well. But even in my mid 20s with six pack abs and not eating dairy and gluten and like being like very in touch with my body my whole life, I'd been a wrestler at a really high level. So I had to learn about nutrition and start supplementing as a teenager to compete at a super high level, multi-day tournaments, things like that. I got out of that. I did jujitsu in between. I did football and track and other sports, but nothing really teaches you nutrition at an early age, like getting your butt handed to you on the mat because you ate a Snickers or something, and you start to realize, wow, I can only eat so much because I want to make a certain weight class. But all of this, essentially puts you into a funnel of whether it's that or for women like ballet, where you're like very cognizant of figure or anything, whatever it is. But it was essentially self-induced hypothyroidism because it was low calories and super intense exercise, and that set me up for insane mineral deficiencies through college. And through college, I I also I went and the last 2 years I went and got a prescription for Vyvanse, which is similar to Adderall. To this day, I warn people against that because it's the biggest nutritional mistake I've personally ever made. It just pushes the body so hard. It's so taxing. So if you're listening to this and that's you, like listen to this conversation because this is exactly like you're who I'm speaking to. In among many other avatars of people, that's definitely you. And then also like you look at nootropics, look at other things that are less taxing on the body. Um, but I started thinking about this, and I realized that particle size was ultimately a big factor in it because people's gut health was not going to improve anytime soon. It was it was just like that's not something you could count on. And I knew also that a fun fact for people is the nutrients in our soil, even if you were to digest everything, conservatively from 1940 to now, so roughly 80 years, we have a 40% reduction in the nutrients in the topsoil. So, and where people aren't eating 40% more, or maybe they are because that's how food addict. I mean, that's kind of why people overeat. That's one of the many reasons, at least, is because you're trying to get, say, chromium in your diet, or zinc or potassium or magnesium, and you're not able to get it, so you eat more and more and more. But on the whole, we're not eating 40% more, so we're not getting that nutrition. So supplementation, sure, that's obvious, but testing is also like laughably obvious to me. It's just about um, finding the right test. So I felt like I found the right test, and I needed to just make that easily understood for people. And that's really what we do today. And then our supplements, yeah, we have a proprietary formula that I figured out in 2016. We've been able to scale that really well. We now sell to, just about anywhere in the world if you're listening to this. So we have a long, long way to go, but I'm super happy with what we've done so far.
And kudos to you for doing it, because what I have seen is there's not a lot of mineral companies out there. And one of the things I was so excited, if you remember when we met, I was like, you have a mineral company? Really? Are they liquid? That's my first question. Are they liquid? Next question is, can I buy them? And for my clients, because whenever I muscle test or put anything in somebody's hand, minerals always test. It's just a matter of which form is going to be best for them. And it's important to have variety, right? But let's back up a little bit. For those that are listening, go ahead. You want to say something about variety? I didn't mean to cut you off. A good glass of water.
So great that I that's a key thing. I need to put out a FAQ on this. But yeah, yes and no. So like if you're doing a traditional absorption methodology, yeah, like using magnesium in different forms is I think smart. But with ours, it ultimately comes down, you have to step back from anything you've learned for a second, be in like an open, clear space on that, and think about really from like a principles approach. If the particle size is already in the state which your body would decouple from, say, threonate or anything else like that, and it's now in that most usable form, now it's in that atomic form. So how do we, so my solution was, let's get it in that form already and then just make it really stable. So our liquids, you don't even have to shake. You can just drop them out. They're going to be consistent because they're stabilized. And then the form, yeah, I mean, we're already in that form that the body can use. So if you're using ours, you only really need one. Otherwise, I would have 5 magnesiums because I use my products every single day.
I want to get back to hair mineral analysis, but I got this. So sure. Magnesium, there's magnesium glycinate, magnesium ortate, magnesium, what's that?
Threonates and chloride.
Right. Magnesium taurate. Like so everybody takes a different magnesium for different things. Your upgraded magnesium is a combination of, I think there was 4, if I remember properly.
No, it's you're probably thinking of like upgraded memory, which has like 5 different ones, or peak thyroid, which has 4 different like separate minerals. But with ours,
more memory, I forgot.
Yeah, so the magnesium for us is it's in the form, so your body would take any of those that you just mentioned and it would break them down through the gut if the gut is working. And those are just cofactors or what methods to help the body absorb it at different rates, right? So oxides, really, really poor absorption if it's traditional. And for that reason, it's actually used for like clearing the bowels, right? If someone's constipated, it's great. It's great in that essentially it doesn't absorb. So what ours is we figured out a way to produce it and then bind it in such a small form. So ours are down on the nanoscale to sub 10 nanometers on average, and then we bind it with chloride, but it's not like magnesium chloride normally. So a totally different approach and totally different size and totally different result. So
regardless of the magnesium that they are needing, this magnesium is going to fill that hole because of particle size. Yep. So for those who've listened to the podcast, it's the difference of maybe a macronutrient and a micronutrient, right? What most people are allergic to or sensitive to is the macronutrient because they can't break that down. And what they need is the fermented product in the micronutrients. Mm-hmm. Right. And essentially what you're doing is giving them the micronutrient, but even at a smaller level, at a nanoparticle size, so that the body completely takes it in. It's not even, it has to absorb it because it's on the electronic basis of the ionic exchange, if you will, of information, but it is the molecules of magnesium that are making the mechanisms in the body start to move because of this magnesium particle that gets it all to shift. I mean, he's a chemical engineer, and let me tell you, organic chemistry and chemistry was my hardest class I ever took, other than endocrinology, because of the connections to everything, which is why it makes so much sense to me that he got involved in hair mineral analysis. Yeah. But I want to back up, because you and I understand maybe a bit more why hair mineral analysis, and I want them to understand, you know, we've talked about blood levels, and blood levels, the body's job is to create homeostasis. And what Barton had spoken to in the beginning was that if the body is creating those blood levels that are normal, those are normal ranges based upon the average population, which is sick. The people that created hair mineral analysis were using test case of athletes, superior optimized humans.
Yeah, in their mid-20s. So
yeah, and these are this is what your ranges should be if you want to optimize as a human. But what's the difference? What does hair mineral analysis look at? Because it's not looking at circulating blood. So what is it looking at?
Right. So one thing, if I can say, so with circulating blood, it's really us on our best behavior is what I've phrased it as, because your blood is so mission critical to your life force really is the best measurement would be your blood. So your body pulls minerals from your bone marrow. If you're, you know, let's say you're in a fit of rage and your body has that just balance that blood pH, or if you go out and you celebrate something, you drink a bunch of alcohol, your body has to buffer that pH change, and it'll do it with calcium, magnesium, for example, from your bones. And you wonder, like, why at like 60 do I have osteoporosis or apnea, or maybe even earlier? And you know, I watched my mother's health really slide, and this was a big driver for me too. And I felt, you know, helpless as a like late teenager watching this. And even then I knew enough to help her make some changes, but I didn't have these tools then. And that played a big impact in just me doing what I do today too. And she had those things. She had osteopenia. She had her thymus gland removed, which is, you know, keep her immune. They put her on prednisone, which just drives out nutrients from the body. You know, medications in general, not only, you know, they're very toxic, and they have this load on the body that requires the body, just like in the case of Adderall, Vyvanse, to spend more nutrients. So your adrenals are working harder, and that's why you feel more mentally alert. But your cortisol is spiking. So there's always a cocktail of minerals involved that are being burned or used, just like you would burn a tank of gas, or your battery down your phone. So
we've got to remember, just because maybe this is an assumption that we're making, that your body runs on minerals.
Yeah.
We are bioelectrical beings. We run on minerals, and without minerals, there's no game. So when you look at an electrocardiogram, the first word is electro. It's measuring the frequency of the mineral output of your heart. Beep, 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 beep. That's a good day. Beep, no minerals, bad day, really bad day. Okay. So we want to always look at what our mineral load is. I have an open-ended light bulb circuit here that I test a lot of our minerals by putting in a glass of water and see if it lights the light bulb. If it doesn't light the light bulb, it's not going to light my light bulb. I am a light bulb that needs to be lit. The issue is that if you have a lot of metals, which our environment is full of metals, and you need some metals. We have metals that naturally occur in our body. Correct, Barton?
Correct.
Because I think everybody's gone, all metals are bad. No.
You need a little bit.
We have a little nickel. We have a little bit of zinc. We have a little bit, but we don't have naturally occurring mercury in the body. Is that true?
True.
Okay. So metals like mercury and silver that are not meant to be in the body will push minerals out of the body. correct me where I'm wrong. And then we need to get more minerals to get the nervous system working. If the nervous system isn't working, it's because we're lacking minerals, which is why his memory product works so great, because it's minerals to get the neurotransmitters, which is the little nervous system, little open-ended like arms that have to communicate to each other. They're two hands, but they're separated. In that separation, in order for them to communicate, a mineral has to go across it like a field, like a soccer field, and go, oh, from one goalie to the next, I got to kick that mineral. If there's no minerals, there's not a lot of going on in the brain, that things aren't connecting. You don't remember things. Now translate to the rest of the body. That's also the liver can't function properly. The kidney can't, because nobody's getting the proper communication, because minerals is how the body communicates.
Beautiful. So well said.
I love minerals. Like
yeah.
I'm so excited to bring Barton into the true wellness world and not meds world, because I don't think people understand minerals. Okay. I'm driving into work this morning. My mother calls me. She's noticed the price increase in all the fruits and vegetables, and she's freaking out about not being able to afford fruits and vegetables, which that's a whole nother side of an equation there.
Sure.
But
Sure.
that being said, she's calling me about these pills that she's seen advertised
Oh, man.
on television. My first thing was, Mom, if it's advertised on television, it's not good for you. Just stop there. Nobody has to advertise the celery. Nobody has to advertise the broccoli, because we know they're good for us. But if you see the Snickers bar, they've got to advertise that, because it's not good for you. Same with pharmaceutical drugs. We're the only country that allows pharmaceutical drugs to be advertised outside of New Zealand, which that's still a caveat of understanding. I don't understand that. But here's my point. My mother's dealing at 80 years old now. Guess what they're saying? Osteoporosis. So they got her on calcium, which is forcing magnesium right out of her body, which I'm struggling with.
Oh, I'm so struggling with that right now. Yeah.
They put them on calcium when they have osteoporosis, and it forces more magnesium out of your body.
Yeah,
and then she says, well, fruits and vegetables in these pills. I'm like, but how about you eat fruits and vegetables and I give you minerals? But this is the issue. Most people think they need vitamins. Can you speak to that, Barton? Can you explain to them why they don't need vitamins?
Oh my God. All right. So I did 11-day water and our minerals at Upgraded Formulas fast. I had little sips of black coffee here and there. And I had enough, I'm 6 feet, roughly 200 pounds. I could lose that 5 pounds of body fat and be fine. So and it was great, but I didn't take in vitamins. I took in minerals to power my glands. At some point I'll teach a course on how to do like prolonged fasting for people that want to get into that for any reason. But even if you're only doing a 3-day fast or or a 1-day fast, I'm a big believer in having those minerals there to activate, because you don't need or let me say this, like vitamins, if you have a bunch of vitamins, but you have no minerals, the minerals cannot activate the vitamins. Enzymatically, you need minerals for every pathway in the body. And when they're not there, then, and that's really a preferential sort of state, you have, trying to keep this really, really simple, but you have your secondary option is that you get, for example, cadmium in the place of copper. They're fairly similar, so that'll go in and or in the place of calcium. So now your bones they've been made up of a bit of cadmium, and that's brittle. And so later in life you have osteoporosis, osteopenia, things like that. It's harder. So at any age that you're listening to this, know that you should start on a program like this, and that also looks at heavy metals in one of our tests, or that's the only test we offer. It does minerals and heavy metals, because as you age, it does get harder to move heavy metals from the body. So whatever age you're at, great, start now, is my advice on that. But yeah, you can't really activate the vitamins. So vitamins by themselves really are not very useful if you don't have minerals. So minerals are difficult to absorb. So this is, whether it's minerals or the key metals that your body needs, like zinc or chromium, etc. This is why I took this area of focus and said, if I can get this right, this is the fundamental sort of thing that I know people will need their entire life to live an optimal, high energy, productive, effective, innovative life. And we need more innovators out there. We can't get by with like a handful of Elon Musk. We need to be giving birth and raising many innovators if we're going to fix the issues we want to fix, and like think from a higher consciousness.
And regenerative farming is one of those ways. So we
Yeah.
fix the soil problem so that we don't have the first 6 inches of soil depleted from 40% of the minerals that we need. But I want you to understand what he says. Those of you that are eating a completely organic diet, you're eating all the greatest vitamins, and you're eating all the fruits and vegetables, and you're taking vitamins, for instance. If you're not taking minerals, you're not getting all the vitamins and minerals, all the vitamins rather, that you're eating, because every vitamin needs a mineral to make it happen in the body. It needs a muscle to move it. And that muscle is the mineral. The mineral makes the vitamins active. Without the minerals, the vitamins are not active. So people need to stop taking multivitamins and need to take liquid minerals.
Yes, correct.
I've literally been saying this for 24 years without a joke.
That's
like
amazing.
literally, I've been saying it for 24 years because I was introduced to this concept. And when I started taking liquid minerals, I literally felt it in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would like to say to you about his product. If you take a product and you don't feel it from a mineral perspective, you don't feel phosphatidylcholine necessarily. You don't necessarily feel vitamin C if you take it, right? Good quality phosphatidylcholine and vitamin C. You don't necessarily feel those, but I can guarantee you feel minerals. You should feel minerals because they will make every process in your body work better. And people have always said to me, oh, I wish I could bottle your energy. Well, you can.
Yeah. You can
go to Barnes Company and you can get his minerals. I took minerals nonstop for like 10, 15 years. I still take them every once in a while. That particular brand that I took, I take different ones now, but I took one brand of liquid minerals for like a good 10 years. And I know that it helped me in so many ways and continues to. I give it to my dogs. I still cook with minerals because I know how depleted the food source is. And I want to supplement. So I supplement with minerals. End of story.
Yeah, it's really the only supplement that I always travel with is whatever, based on my results from my hair mineral analysis, the ratios. It's not just, oh, you're low in this thing. It's what is the relationship between calcium and potassium, calcium and magnesium, magnesium and sodium, sodium and potassium, iron and copper, copper and zinc. You know, what are those ratios? Because those speak volumes. I could write a small book on each one of those ratios. And
so one of those ratios will tell you how your liver's functioning. One of those ratios will tell you how your adrenals. One is for your kidneys. One's for your thyroid. One is to tell you if you're a slow or fast oxidizer. Each one of those ratios will give you indications of how functionable the body is. But hair mineral analysis, to back up again, is looking at what? It's looking at what elements in the body, because when people look at blood, they're like, well, why does my hair mineral analysis say that I have low magnesium, my thyroid doesn't work, whereas my blood work says my thyroid works great and says my magnesium is fine? Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. So, part of it is that range that we talked about, where based on you're comparing to a unhealthy 60 or so year old population that was going in regularly to see their doctor. Those were the people that made up those ranges. That's how they collected the data back then, and they haven't updated those ranges. I know that's bad news. I hate that I'm the one that has to give that bad news, but that's the truth. So that, since that's the reality, I'm a big fan of having the courage to look at the reality and innovate, and think, okay, well, what do we do from there? So, the test always I love it because it gives you a chance to improve. And so magnesium in your blood may look fine because your blood has to be that it's mission critical, right? So it has to be kept pretty consistent. So you have some severe deficiencies if you show any deficiency in the blood whatsoever. Now, can you see that go up, if you start taking our magnesium, for example? Absolutely. There's a post on our Instagram page of someone that took it only for like 2 months and went and took her and did a RVC, and it went up like 40% or something. You can check it that way, but the best way, the best bang for your buck is for any test that I've ever seen that impacts everything really, is to do this test and to understand it truly and to take action with supplements that really absorb super well. So that's it. That's it. That's the formula.
My understanding, please correct me where I'm wrong, is because listen, I don't know everything, and I'm very open for understanding new concepts, okay? Because what I'm coming from is my understanding of hair mineral analysis. What I've always said for years is that hair mineral analysis takes into account what the body's storing in its tissues versus what's circulating in the blood. And the job of the body is to keep the homeostasis to be maintained in the blood. So if the body's magnesium level is it's because it's taking it from everywhere else in the body. It might need it to keep the blood levels. But hair mineral analysis is looking at, well, what kind of reserve do you have when your body needs that magnesium? Does it have a great place to pull it from? And does it have enough selenium and chromium and potassium and all the minerals that we need, particularly the main four: sodium, potassium, magnesium, and sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, the four main minerals. So once you get past those four main electrolytes and we see what the other minerals are, then it also can tell you what kind of metals your body's storing. And if you have excess, too much, right? And a toxicity load of metal versus a deficiency in mineral. And then it's the ratio of these minerals to metals that tells us what the organs are functioning. So hair mineral analysis to me is more about what reserve does the body have. So I look at regulation testing that we do: heart rate variability, contact regulation, thermography, live blood, are all telling me what kind of balls the body's juggling to create homeostasis. Because when we look at blood levels, we can go, oh, that's great, it's done a good job, but we don't know if it's doing a good job by juggling 5 balls or 17 balls or 75 balls. We just know it's doing a good job. The outcome is good. Yep. But what hair mineral analysis, what regulatory testing does, is it tells me how many balls are juggling. Because when the person's blood labs go off, I always get the same question. I'm sure you do too. I was healthy yesterday and then they took my blood today and now I'm sick. Oh, no, that's not how it worked. Your body was struggling for some time and then it could no longer compensate for what it was up against. And now the blood labs look bad. But what hair mineral analysis can do is tell you where the body's struggling so you don't end up with a bad blood lab. And you can look at those deficiencies and those excesses in toxicity levels of the metals and deficiencies in the minerals, balance them out so the body lets go of the metals the way it should, holds on to the minerals the way it should, so it absorbs what we're eating and the body can function all the mechanisms in the body. Is that?
Yep.
I should come work for his company. That's what he's saying.
I mean, Kelly, I'm so impressed with like your knowledge of this and it's so efficacious. You get it, like you really do. And it's just about being consistent then. So people will get great results and then some people fall off after 1 or 2 consultations, and other people will continue. They're like, oh, I feel great, so I'm going to continue to do it every 60 and 90 days. I do it every 60. I recommend most people, it's a lot. Do it every 90 days and see the ROI and energy. I mean, it affects every part of your life. So it affects your hormones. It affects all these different areas. And if you look at it as not as a cost, but as an investment, it really does return a really significant ROI if you want to be completely financial about it. But it's so much more than that, because it's how you show up in your relationships. If you have the energy and you have the bandwidth and someone else doesn't, then you can really take on that. You have enough nervous system ability, I would say. You have enough energy of potential to overcome different obstacles and things in your path on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly and yearly basis. And, to the extent that we test and then take supplements, and then retest and notice our levels and notice how it changed, and make diet tweaks, where we feel comfortable. we really straighten this path. And if we just test much less frequently, then we end up going in a large circle with an arc. You know, if you test once or twice, what happens is you sort of go, you make progress and you're like, oh, I'm feeling great. And then you go, I could probably let off and slack. And then, you know, I've done that before. And you end up back where you were, and it's a year later and you're like, why am I not progressing? Well, and you don't even have to ask why. It's because you stopped doing what worked. So, you know, it's similar in that you don't go to the gym to get fit, you know, just a handful of times and have some really hard workouts and say, I'm done. You do it repeatedly. And, you know, people like there's some, a woman shared a video recently that she dropped like 5 pounds in the first week, which is sort of unusual, but frankly, you know, just I think her sodium was off, her a bunch of different things. So it's not that she was retaining water weight; it's quite the opposite. Her body wasn't functioning at a cellular level. So she got through and she broke through, and I think she probably freed up stored like undigested food particles and, you know, things like that. We have, after a certain age, I mean, you can have pounds of, you know, excrement in your, you know, in your body that you're just carrying around. So your body starts to heat up and warm up at it and move better at a cellular rate. You get these unintended benefits. So we really do get healthy so we can lose weight. So that, and we get healthy so that we can build muscle, and we get healthy so we can have a strong skeletal system, not the other way around. Um,
We get
so yeah,
healthy so we can have a good baby.
yeah.
And you know, there's so many things that he said here, and we obviously need to have more podcasts with Barton. And I would just say to anybody who's listening, who's pregnant, wanting to get pregnant, start loading the minerals now, because you know what he said is it's an investment in your health. And I never thought about minerals that way, but it's true, because I invested in my health for 10 years. I knew how deficient I was when I met my husband. And he was like, oh, you're a vegetarian that doesn't eat vegetables. That's awesome. You're a carb whore. And he put me on minerals right away. And I just started eating mineral. And I was like, oh my gosh, this makes me feel so much better just having minerals in my body. And so I started doing it. And now I take very little. I don't take handfuls of supplements I did for 20 years, but I take minerals. And I sleep really well, and I do my flow prezos, and I have good life, and I have great sex, and I'm in a good place in my life. I'm a very happy person. But it started with the investment in minerals. It started with the investment in minerals. And to that end, Barton has been very generous and is giving a discount for anybody that wants to work with him and work with a hair mineral analysis. And any of my clients that want to do this, I want to be in on it. I'm going to be doing a hair mineral analysis with him. I've used the same company for 20 years. I'm changing because I met this man. I know what his brain is like, and I want to work with his brain. And so I'm working with him, with clients, to help unravel this, because I'm not the expert. He is. I know a little bit, but he knows a lot more than I do, as does his team. So we're going to be giving everybody a 10% discount off of getting the hair mineral analysis and the consultation. And that whole fee without the discount is only still $200. So it's very, very affordable, and allows you to really continue with this care, as he mentioned, to make sure you get the result you want and that you retest it. Because as good scientists that we are training everybody to be on not meds through the beats, you're going to do something scientifically one variable at a time and test it so you know what's causing what, because your body's amazing and it has all the power inside it to heal. You just need to give it the right information to do that. And minerals is a huge, if not the most important piece that you're going to need for the rest of your life is minerals.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of you need this for the rest of your life. You guys all know that. But I am a fan that you need minerals for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Don't think it's a coincidence that our blood plasma is the same 84 minerals and trace minerals as the ocean water. Thinking that might not be a coincidence. There might be something to that. What do you think, Barton? Do you think there's something to that?
I really do. And there is. So
Yeah.
well said. So well said. Yeah. There's just a couple bonus ideas for people, since you mentioned this. You know, for anyone that is getting pregnant, please take iodine. We have some in the memory supplement. We have some in our peak thyroid. We have a separate iodine supplement that's a large dose, but it's a dropper, so you can decide how much you want to take. But that is so key for IQ. I mean, a mother that's completely deficient in iodine, it's so essential for brain function, just that one nutrient. We're not even talking about boron, phosphorus, manganese, molybdenum, any of those. But that one, and like 96% of people out of 6,000 tested were deficient in it. Some were already taking iodine. That one can result in 20-point lower IQs. And that's what I mean when I say we need to give birth to innovators so we can innovate our way out of crises. Because a bunch of like people that are at like the 120 IQ that could have been at 140 or it's just like, that's a huge difference. And that is a huge global impact.
If you want to feel smarter, take minerals, because it makes you smart, it makes your brain work better. So listen, I know we've taken a little bit more of your time than we asked for, and I appreciate that. And I know that you have somewhere to be right now, but I just want to ask you one quick question. This is a question I've only recently started to ask clients or ask people that I'm interviewing, because I'm coming up on my year of doing my podcast. And what I've come to terms with is what I want more than anything, what I've set this podcast out for, is I want people to understand that they have the power inside them that heals. And that is truly from my heart to theirs what I am trying to get across. That's the secret I feel like I've held in my body, that when COVID hit, I went, holy shit, you guys don't know the secret. Let me go tell them the secret. And so I started the podcast. What's the secret that you want to give to everybody, Barton? You have a microphone here with no consequences and no censorship. What's the secret you want to give them?
The secret that I want to give people really is exactly what we just talked about, exactly what we do, which is that you have the power to heal and you have the power to take back your health. And you can do it in a very practical, pragmatic, cost-effective way that impacts every part of your life that you could ever hope it to impact. And whether it's energy or sleep, or you're constipated all the time, or you fly off the handle, your moods aren't stable, or your partner's moods aren't stable, or your children's moods aren't stable. I mean, this is essential for everyone at every age. We work with children, we work with the elderly. So but feeling like you own your own health, are a large extension, a large piece of it. That is so critical to feeling free, really. And just getting to a place where you can get off of medication, it means that you can travel around the world and not worry about, oh, you forgot your medication when you land in some foreign country or something. Like being untethered and being free is, I think, almost a human right, I would say. So how do you do that? And I think this is the path I know best to do that. So that's my answer.
Well, thank you for that. And I couldn't agree with you more. And for those of you who are interested in using the code that Barton has been so kind to give out to everybody, we'll put it in the show notes as well. But it is Upgraded. And by the way, his website is upgraded.com.
Or Upgraded Formulas.
Right, Upgrade. I was like, that's not right. Upgradedformulas.com. It should just be upgraded because everything gets upgraded. They're upgraded formulas, but I'm sure that was taken. Upgradedformulas.com. You can use the code for either buying his supplements or getting the analysis with the consultation, and use the code upgraded, the capital U 10. And then again, we will have that in the show notes. And look for more of Barton here at Not Meds, and look for his hair mineral analysis services that we'll be offering here at Not Meds as well as at the center. But I really ask if this resonated with you, if you know somebody that's in a situation where they can't get control of their health, this is an effective, proactive way, very simple and affordable way for them to do it. And I know in this industry, there's a lot of things that are really, really expensive. And what's great about minerals is they're not expensive. And so that's wonderful for us. And it gives us such great control. And as Barton perfectly said, with that control, we have freedom, because we can be in control of our body. And that's what we want for each of you, is the freedom to go and be and do and have and thrive like we are meant to be, and live this lovely world of
expansion and growth of which we are part of. So thank you, Barton. Thank you all for listening, and we appreciate it.
Beautiful. Thank you.